In Wingspan, players play as bird enthusiasts, looking to fill their aviary with many different types of birds to score as many points as possible. The player with the highest score at the end of the 4th round is the winner of the game. In Wingspan, there are many different ways to score points. Players may play birds into their aviary over the course of the game. Each bird in a player's aviary is worth a number of points equal to the number next to this feather symbol on that card. Players can also score points by filling their aviary with these eggs. Each bird can carry a number of eggs equal to the number of egg symbols on that card. Each egg in a player's aviary at the end of the game is worth 1 point. During the game, players will be competing to achieve these round-end goals. At the end of each round, these goals will be evaluated, and the player who did the most of a certain thing will score the most points. The player who did the second most will score the second most, and so on and so forth. At the end of each round, a different goal will be evaluated. Each player will also have at least one of these green cards in their hand from the beginning of the game. These cards are endgame goals that are personal for each player. At the beginning of the game, each player will see 2 and choose one of them to keep. However, there will be opportunities for players to draw more of them over the course of the game. Some birds will also allow players to tuck cards by taking them and placing them behind birds in their aviary, or to cache food by taking those food tokens and placing them on top of those birds. Each cached food and tucked card gives the player whose aviary they are in 1 point at the end of the game. The player with the highest total score is the winner. In Wingspan, players will take turns. On a player's turn, they will perform one action, and then it will be the next player's turn. When a player takes an action, they will place one of their colored player cubes on the corresponding zone of their board that matches the action that they took, either playing a bird, gaining food, laying eggs, or drawing bird cards. At the beginning of the game, each player starts with 8 of these cubes, meaning they are allowed to take 8 of these actions. At the end of the round, they will remove the cubes from their board and place one of them on the round-end goal counter, meaning in the next round, they will only have 7 actions. In the 3rd round, each player will only have 6 actions, and in the final round of the game, each player will have 5. Let's talk about playing a bird. When a player takes this action, they can play one of the bird cards that they have collected in their hand. To play the bird, the player takes that card and places it in the leftmost unoccupied space in one of the habitats where that bird can live. In the case of the northern bobwhite, in the top left corner, it only has the grassland icon, meaning this is the only row of my board that it can live in. Some birds, like the purple martin, may live in multiple different habitats, and so you'll have more than one option as to where you'd like to play that bird. In addition, you must be able to feed the bird that you are playing into your aviary. In the case of the northern bobwhite, it requires me to pay 3 grain to the bank if I want to play it. When you're playing a bird, if you don't have the exact correct type of food that that bird likes to eat, that's okay. For every food that you are missing, you may pay 2 tokens of a different type to make up for the one that you are missing. So I could play the northern bobwhite by using 3 grain tokens, or I could use 2 grain tokens and 2 of something else to replace the 3rd grain. Some birds will have abilities when you play them. Any of these birds will have a white strip at the bottom of the card, and the text on that card will tell you what to do after you have played that bird. If you're playing a bird in a column other than the first on your board, then you will have to pay an additional cost. In the 2nd or 3rd column of your board, in addition to the food you pay for that bird, you'll also have to pay 1 egg. And in the 4th or 5th column of your board, you'll have to pay an additional 2 eggs. Pay eggs by discarding them from birds that you have in your aviary. That's playing a bird. The second option you have as an action you can do on your turn is to gain food from the bird feeder in order to feed your birds later. This is the bird feeder. It has 5 dice, and each dice has sides that represent the 5 different types of food in Wingspan. These are grain, worms, fish, berries, and rodents. When a player takes the gain food action, they may select one of the dice from the bird feeder, remove it from the bird feeder, and take the corresponding food token to add to their supply. If players have taken food from the bird feeder such that there is only one type of food remaining, a player may choose to re-roll all 5 of the dice before selecting the food that they want. As players cover up spots in the forest row on their board, the gain food action becomes more powerful. For example, if the first spot in my gain food row is occupied, then when I gain food, not only will I gain 1 die from the bird feeder, but I will also have the option of discarding a bird card from my hand to gain a second food. If I cover up 2 of those spots, then I just get to gain 2 food from the bird feeder instead of just 1. The more birds that you play in that row, the more powerful the action will be. In addition, after taking an action, you also get to activate all of the brown powers on birds that you have played in that row. For example, after taking 2 food, by gaining food, I would also get to activate the brown power on the hermit thrush. That's gaining food. Your third option of an action in Wingspan is to lay eggs on your birds. The default ability of this action is you get to lay 2 eggs on birds you have in play. If I already had this hermit thrush, I could take this action and place 2 eggs on it, being mindful of the maximum number of eggs each bird in my aviary can have. In the case of the hermit thrush, just 2. As you play more birds into your grassland row, which corresponds with the lay eggs action, your lay eggs action will become more powerful, allowing you to discard food to gain additional eggs and just gaining more eggs. The fourth option you have as an action in Wingspan is to draw bird cards. When you take this action, you get to draw 1 card. In Wingspan, there will be a card display of 3 face-up bird cards, as well as a deck. Anytime you would draw a card, you can choose whether to draw one of the 3 face-up cards or a random card from the top of the deck. At the end of each player's turn, if there are not 3 face-up birds, replenish the card display from the deck so that there are. As you play additional birds into your wetland, you will improve your draw bird cards action, allowing you to discard eggs from your birds to draw more cards, and just allowing you to draw more cards. Some birds will have another ability that is pink. If you have a pink bird in your aviary, that bird has an ability that can activate once between each of your turns during the game if the other players in the game do a specific thing. When that thing happens, you will get some kind of benefit, which is listed on the bird. Each bird will also have a specific type of nest, indicated by an icon on the middle left side of the bird, as well as a wingspan. These don't inherently have an effect on the game, but many of the round end goals, as well as end game scoring cards, will refer to a bird's nest type or its wingspan.